with so much blessings, I'm going to invite each and every one of us as we come together in the Sacred Soul Circle to please first come within center within yourself. That any time that we come into a group environment or that we come to collaborate and share energy with each other, that this is a very special time for us to really upgrade ourselves into that spiritual adulthood of sovereignty of energy, to really being one of the grid holders or the placement holders within the circle. That we are all responsible for our own exchange of energy. And so that's what I love about coming together within the Soul Circle, because it gives us the opportunity to really get comfortable with creating very healthy exchanges of energy and how we can take that out into our daily life and into the world. So I'm going to invite you just to take some nice deep breaths in. As you sense and feel that energy, the invitation is to feel your breath moving up your central column. And as it moves up your central column, that your central column is your breath of the spirit. It is the ability for you to move the cosmic forces and the cosmic energies through you. And as you begin to breathe that energy up, begin to notice that you are breathing in infinite intelligence, that you are breathing in universal consciousness, and that it lives, breathes, and is part of you. And just in this very moment, to make the dedication and the declaration to make room in your life for the Holy Spirit, for that sacred breath, for the consciousness of Source to express, to live, and to breathe through you. And then I'm just going to invite everyone, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but I'm going to invite you to, as you breathe up through the tip of your tailbone, all the way a breath, all the way up into your pineal gland. And just sit there for a moment with all of your awareness, as though with your eyes closed, you were staring right at your third eye, right into your pineal gland. And I'm going to invite you to create a sacred blue flame. It would almost be like the color of blue, it's like a plasma blue. If you were to turn on the gas stove and that beautiful blue that comes through, and just imagine within your third eye is that sacred blue flame. And as you allow it to begin to expand, to purify, to begin to align your consciousness to Christic law of one consciousness, I'm going to invite you to imagine that within the blue flame is a perfected white flame. And as you allow all of your focal point to go within the light of the white flame, we are going to allow that energy to begin to expand, and imagine that it expands. And I'm going to have you play with it for a little bit. And in this moment, imagine that you were to take that blue flame with the white flame in it, and imagine if you actually moved it to the right side of your body, as if it was now on your right shoulder. And just for this moment, acknowledge this level of Christic consciousness that is like a mentor, a ray of light that is forever with you, always beside you, always consciously available to you for any guidance, wisdom, direction. And as you begin to just sense this massive presence, it's almost as though you could imagine that you can sense it as an energy beside you, but it's infinite. And then I'm going to invite you to bring it back into your third eye. And from your third eye, this time you're going to let that light expand so that now you are basically inside of this blue flame. And it's almost as though this huge halo of light is around your head. And then I'm going to invite you to take it so that it expands to behind your head, so that you can imagine now that this mentor, your higher self, this guidance is standing right behind you. Almost as though they're a bit bigger than you, right behind you, as though they are again your mentor, your guardian mentor that is always right behind you, has your back. Always there, that at any time you could always remember this vibrational energy right here. And then let your consciousness step back in your awareness to begin to be within the mind of your mentor. And let that mentor consciousness, that Christ mentor consciousness, begin to be the observer of you, as it guides and directs you to begin to breathe that spirit energy up your central column, awakening the Kundalini sacred serpent within you. And as you feel the serpent rising and falling like a sacred dance within you, allow the energy to come into your pineal gland again and just intend to create your 12th dimensional shield. And then I'm going to have you amplify it. So you're just going to let your energy of your light merge all the way down as though it drops all the way down to the crystalline core of the earth. And then it's going to rise all the way up, pop out your crown, and connect to the crystalline core of the universe. And you're going to feel yourself in a plasma field of light inside of that entire universal sphere of your shield that you have just created. And then all I'm going to invite you to do is just amplify it and just say 12D, 24D, 48D. Anchor, lock, and seal. Amplify now to my Aquarii template. Hold and stabilize all energy systems within my body. Calibrating all meridian lines and axitonial lines, front to back, back to front, left to right, right to left. Align all sequences of all 12 meridian lines. Balancing harmony of 11, 12, 12, 11, 11, 12, 12, 11, 11, 12 through the central column, anchor, lock, and seal. Divine Heroes Gamos of balanced masculine and feminine. Balance now, right and left hemisphere of the brain, right to left, left to right, right to left, left to right. Amplify all lobes within the central computing systems of our brain, amplifying them into our nervous system. Upgrade nervous system now to amplify and hold all emerald ray, ruby ray, emerald ray, ruby ray, emerald ray, ruby ray, balancing divine maternal energy, the divine mother energy, emerald ray, the divine father energy, ruby ray, left to right, right to left, left to right, right to left, balance and wholeness now, show us now, and so it is. Anchor, lock, and seal this energy into our shield template. Move it through all 15 dimensional layers of our light body. Begin to correct all layers of light body, purging clearing and deleting all energies from all reversal systems. Begin to correct all sacred geometry through all 15 layers to amplify now to full Rishik template. Show us now, and so it is. Fortify each layer of the shield and all subtones and all bass subtones within each layer. Amplify all frequencies now and create harmonious music of the spheres through all 5 Hova bodies. Amplify now, and so it is. Now I'm going to invite you to come into a centered energy where you again focus in on that mentor energy behind you that is also really fully a part of you. And from that perspective, allow your awareness to begin to include the soul circle. And that we are going to allow ourselves to be here within this space and this energy as sovereign beings coming together with a base template of Law of One ethics that we command in this very moment that any residual of victim-victimizer programming is hereby now acknowledged and dissolved by the living blue flame, that we all stand within our Christic template now as equal holders of the sacred circle. And this beautiful moment, I'm going to invite you to imagine each that are here present live and all that will listen to this. So really tap in quantumly to all future timelines, to anyone that will ever listen to this again in a future timeline. So we are including a massive soul circle through quantum, time, spaces, and realities. And begin to allow yourself to sense yourself as part of this massive collective, this massive group of star seeds and rays that are all here, holding this Christic template as the Shade-Ur, the pillar of first cause light, here into this very point of now. And this is a personal thing for each and every one of you, but I invite you to say to yourself what your declaration of intention is. What is your declaration? What is your promise to your higher self, to your soul team, to the Christ guardians and councils, to Source, Creator, to all creation, to this universal time matrix, and to all infinite other universal time matrix? Who you are is who you are making the declaration to be, no matter where you are, no matter whom you speak to. That you, if you are willing, can make the declaration of intention that you be the Shade-Ur, you be the ultimate pillar of first cause light, and that there is no thing, no one, no place, no situation that would ever cause you to step out of being that pillar of light. And within this very I am present moment of now, that as we call upon all of the guardian hosts, we call upon all sacred security teams upholding the Law of One mission, we ask in this very now to please ask all of the guardians to please amplify the sacred soul circle in this very moment. Please anchor all of the sacred directions through all hubs and through all systems that are anchoring and stabilizing all stargates upon the planet for the pure ascension plan of all souls to return home. That in this moment, as we hold this sacred mission, we say thank you, thank you, thank you, as we open the sacred circle, and so it is. Just amplifying that now. And I'm going to make a beautiful invitation to everybody that any places that you've ever felt like the black sheep, that you've ever felt alone, that you've ever felt different, that you've ever felt like you don't belong, that you've ever felt out of place, that you've ever felt like you got dropped off on the wrong planet. I'm going to invite you to grab all of that now. It is imperative that we get rid of all of those debilitating stories. And so the invitation for each and every one of us, because when we hold this mission, we've had these thoughts. And I'm going to invite us all to grab all of that right now. And in this moment, on the count of 3, we can just toss it up and just 1, 2, 3. Pull it from me now. I am done with that story. I am done with ever limiting myself. I am done with not recognizing the full luminosity and the pure Shade Or that this temple and my consciousness is. I am that I am. We are that we are. And we are one. And with your mentor with you and with the awareness of the ultimate soul circle, we can allow ourselves to recognize now how connected we are. And that we're all here to step up the level to the next, to the next level of who we be, how we be, and how we show up, right? We don't have anything to hide behind anymore because we literally are the beings that are meant to be this pillar of light. And so with that, I really want to talk about a couple things and get us going. And then the end of our soul circle today, I'm going to be opening it up. I'm going to be going through our Q&A. I have a list of amazing questions that have come through. And then I want to be able to answer any of them that come live with our Zoom today. So just this first little bit, I want to just share a couple of things, and then we'll get rolling on the Q&A within here. So one of the key things that is really clearly coming through is this new vibrational energy of the ruby dragon family that is coming through. That the ruby dragons come from our the ruby ray or our divine parallel time matrix. And so the ruby ray is holding the divine masculine template for our beautiful emerald template universal system that we exist in within this 15-dimensional time matrix. And it is an amazing thing to begin to start to understand this at a much bigger level, because it is one thing that we've been learning how to get our own template in order, our own body in order, our own consciousness into sovereignty in order. And as we begin to take more and more responsibility for that energy, we start to recognize our place within a greater whole, and then yet within a greater whole, and then yet within a greater whole. And as we begin to expand within this energy, we're starting to get to understand the other realms, the other universes, the other templates that all weave in to even larger eucharistic bodies, that there are many 15-dimensional time matrices interwoven in with each other that then create even larger God worlds. So we're not going to go into all of that right now. The only thing I really want to focus on right now is that we can understand that we have been in a divine mother universal body. And this would be the Emerald Order. This is going to be in alignment with many of us within the Christos mission, the divine Sophia Christos template that we are per body. But we also understand that within parallel, that there is not only a parallel Earth, which is holding Eartha and our higher vibrational families and the Aquarii families that we're connecting with now, but then it connects into these other universal systems, which are completely other universal systems, other races, other beings that are assisting, and that it is the beautiful magenta or the ruby ray families that hold the vibration of the 15th dimension. They are within, when we look at the Trinity flame of the blue, the gold, and the magenta, we're looking at our tri-founder families, and we're also looking at our Trinity councils. So if you are ever looking for assistance and you don't need to know a whole bunch of stuff, you can literally just kind of understand that the Trinity is the sacred eternal flame codes, and you can call upon the Trinity councils. You can call upon the guardian forces and the guardian security teams that are in alignment with the Christos mission. So you can begin to just call upon these teams to really assist. Now we understand that the Ruby Ray and the Ruby Order, I'm going to break it down super in a whole other way. I'd like for you to think of a rainbow. When you see a rainbow through the sky, you're going to see that it has a spectrum of colors. But all the spectrums are coming from the one source, right? But the spectrums begin to move down through the rays. So we're understanding that at these rays that we do have primary colors. What are our primary colors? It's going to be the red, the yellow, and the blue. So we can see this again as the gold ray, the blue ray, and the magenta ray as tri-founders. They're kind of like the primary or the tritones of creation, the base sound tones that create the original light streams of creation. And when we begin to work with this, we're going to understand that there is blue ray and blue ray frequencies, and within the blue bands of rays exist different dimensional consciousness fields. It is a template. And then we're going to understand that at certain levels that there are going to be, say, the gold bands, and then say the red bands or the magenta bands. Now, the reason why I say this is because we deal with these very things. When you think of gamma rays, when you think of rays, and when you think of bandwidths of even how information is relayed and transmitted, think about the light therapies and the frequency therapies that we do upon the earth. There's red light therapy, right? We can use different spectrums and colors to work with the body. Now we're going to understand that the magenta ray is one of the guardian families that literally was answering kind of more of a call. So the magenta ray is going to really work with the violet flame, the amethyst order. And when we think of the violet flame and the amethyst order, this race line of beings, I dub them the medic team. The violet flame and the magenta families are they are connected to the Cantarian dragons. So their whole purpose is about balancing polarity, which sounds beautiful, but you and I all know what that means. Balancing polarity is literally putting yourself in the middle of all of it. So I refer to them many times as the medic team because I think of them a lot of times as the nurses on a battlefield. They're kind of in the neutral zone, but they're in the war zone all the same, right? And they're in there to do, really, they have the codes within them to literally assist all DNA race lines. That is what is so special about these vibrational beings. Now, they do hold an overtone of the masculine lineage lines. Now, within this, we can see this as the ruby dragon. But in our Earth, and all the way down into our first harmonic universe, the magenta or the ruby dragon translated down into the red dragons, who are primarily hijacked race lines and beings who are they have hijacked the codes from the Ruby Dragon family and are misusing red wave frequencies and technologies upon the earth. Okay, so I'm tying this all the way down to how we have in your air all around you, there's all kinds of rays and frequencies. All these waves of energy moving through and spectrums that we can't necessarily see with our eyes. Now, in past timelines, we're talking about this primarily around Atlantean cataclysm time. This really got seeded in about 75 million years ago, but a lot of this started 250 million years ago, specifically within the Electric Wars, the Pleiadian timelines. And we're looking at that Earth is an organic body, right? So Earth is an organic being, and that there are many created race lines, and there's many other interdimensional and extraterrestrial race lines, or seeders, if you want to look at it this way, that have participated in nurturing and developing and what to bring to Earth and how to plant out Earth. And the Terranusium race lines, or the human species, the tribes, the original tribes, were also one of those things that were brought and seeded upon the earth for a couple different purposes. One was to heal distorted DNA. Two was to also be guardians of this beautiful earth. That was always our purpose. As an Oraphim race line, our purpose was always to evolve and step up to guardian status. We're working on it. We're getting there, right? At least we're becoming aware of it. So within this, we can understand that Earth is an organic template. So she has organic chakra systems. She has her organic dragon ley lines, or her meridian lines, right? She has all of her organic template. And we have a lot of the Orion factions, the Syrian Anunnakis that came, that have massive gifts and capabilities of terraforming planets and technologies. That what they did is they came into Earth, and over the Earth, they put in an artificial system on top of her organic system. Okay, so they basically came in with huge pylons of selenite and quartz, and they placed them in very particular places to override things and create things like the dove grid. They wanted to override the four faces of man, override the blue cow grid lines. And you're going to see there's all these sacred geometries upon the earth that were part of her organic system. And what they did is they came and placed a lot of these technologies overlaying over it. So it's kind of like, here's the organic body of earth, and then over it is almost kind of like a semi-organic, because it's got to be close enough that we still attune to it, but it's yet AI hijacked. Okay, so it's basically tricking us. And I'm going to show you guys something, because I'm telling you guys, this isn't something that's really sci-fi and out there. What do we call these devices that we never let go of? What's the first word? Why are we so addicted to it? Why can't we let it go? Why do we get addicted to every time it dings, we got to check it, right? It's based on technology that matches our cellular vibrational frequency close enough that we tune to it rather than the organic matrix. Do you guys get that? So that's what these artificial templates on the earth did. They were close enough, just like the cell phone is close enough to our organic template that we start to get addicted or wanting to be attached to it. There's also these artificial grids over the earth, and that is what we are watching right now when we are seeing massive floods, when we are seeing massive attacks, directed energy technologies, and all of these things. A lot of this primary energy is around these grid systems, because these technologies, if they go down, they cannot hide anymore. We will not attune to their artificial technology anymore. So here's an example. I know pretty much all of you quite a while ago couldn't stomach or handle listening to the television or the news, right? That's a really low grade. That one was like a technology that could keep us attuned to it only if you were at a really low base level. Now you got to imagine there's other technologies on the planet that we have to literally break out at a much higher level to undo. And it'll be exactly the same. You won't be able to see, hear, or notice anything in this world as real in the way that it's being presented, because it's going to be like looking at the news and just being completely like your body will just reject it because their technologies are getting shut down. Okay, so really what is happening right now with the ruby dragons coming in is they're coming in with the true Christed codes, with the true ruby rays, which are literally going to annihilate all of the red ray technologies that have been used to trap our consciousness. These cube systems that have kept us locked in, and as those start to shut down, we will see clearly. There are many who will not, and those are going to come clearer and clearer to us because there are a lot of individuals on the planet that are primarily a biological human body, but they have different species inhabiting them. They are not an angelic human. They're not an angelic human soul template. They are other beings in an angelic human body. They're trying to hijack it and use it, but it's not the soul consciousness that is directing or moving it from a Christic consciousness. And those individuals more and more are just going to seem like you're going to look at them and you're just going to be like, it feels like cartoon characters are walking around on the planet. It feels very different. Now I'm going to bring a couple of very interesting things up for you guys that, again, I say these things to invite you to expand. Because as much as we also have been programmed to not want to see the news, it's also important to let your guides lead you to what you do need to be aware of on the planet. There is massive things happening on the planet right now. Now, I'm going to give you some of my perspectives, but these are always for you to check in with your guidance team as to how you begin to interpret. Because again, I am aware of a lot of the ley lines and a lot of the things that go on as far as on the grids of the planet. But I always joke that I'm the librarian, and that's not always, being out in the field is not always my specialty with kind of knowing all the different places. There's just so much, but that's why there's all of us here, right? It's like we all are supposed to be bringing this kind of information to each other. So within this, there is massive energy waves moving through California right now. And I know you guys have been probably noticing this and seeing this vibrational energy. And as we look at this, one of the key things that we want to really ask is, what is going on there? What are the vibrational energies? What is the number one thing that is getting shut down and being revealed on the planet right now? Are the underground bases are going to be the facade of all of the leaders on the planet, that they act like they're against each other, but they're all chumming it up in the underground realms. The underground tunnel systems that go to every single port around the world. I'm just going to call out Toronto right now. One of the nastiest ones on the planet, connects right to underneath the Vatican, goes all the way to the South America areas. So we're going to see there's all of these that connect in like a network in the inner earth systems, that there are race lines and beings that have been literally orchestrating all these things, and then they put this whole other storyline on the surface earth while something else is going on, not only on the inner earth but off planetary. Now, the immediate thing that I started intuiting the moment that I started seeing all the flooding in San Diego is I was all like, I know without a doubt any beings working with their guardians would have been directed to leave, move, or not be in that space. Because that is one of the hugest trafficking areas. So the immediate thing I picked up was that all these under places are getting flooded out and are becoming unusable. If you're aware, if you've looked at, there's actually, I don't have the name of the book on me right now. There's actually a book that it talks about the inner earth. It talks about the inner earth tunnels from Shasta to really cool. They go all the way through Arizona. That's why I get very excited about the Grand Canyon. But there's another place called Quartz Mountain area in Arizona, which is really close to Prescott, Arizona. That is another one of these exit places within there. And then they talk a lot about the San Diego area, and then also right underneath near Malibu and the Topanga Canyon area, right? And what these are entrance areas. And if you get into a lot of the ufology and all of, kind of the secret space and this and that, pardon me, I don't have all the language. But there's so many visualizations of craft or ships or planes or whatever coming in, and then they go, whew, they drop down below the cliff, and then they go in, right? That whole area is a massive transport area. It's on the 33rd degree line of the Earth. When we think about the latitude and longitude, where is LA? 33. It's on the 33. It's on the 33 degree. So these are all significant. We're going to start to see that all of these things that we've been going like, oh, that's an interesting symbology. We're going to see how they all line up in a really big way. So when we start to see some of these massive things that are happening upon the earth, we're going to realize that it's been happening and it is continuing to happen. This transformation of that there will be mass souls that are and will continue to be leaving this earth plane. There are, as they leave, many of the ones, this is where we get a hold safe transit, as we assist them, they become now fully freed to not be trapped by the Van Allen belt or the zeta frequency nets anymore, and they can begin to make their way back to soul family homes. There's other race lines and beings, again, that don't come from the Christic template that are going to be moved completely out to another universal system. So it's an amazing rehabilitation that is happening on the planet, and we're here holding this amazing space for it right now. Now there's waves of souls that are incarnating in on the planet. And I want to talk about, we're going to dive in a little bit to the Indigo contracts and things like this. But one of the things that we understand, especially for the Indigo Type 3 contract, the Indigo Type 3s came in holding not only the Oraphim Indigo template, but they also took on a secondary template of the distorted 11D Nephilim template. And the reason why the Indigo Type 3s did this, these are like a specialized military team. So when you think of like all the branches of the military, there's like the Navy, the Army, and all of this, the Indigo Type 3s were kind of like the Navy SEALs. They take on the more difficult missions because it really does take a whole other level to either be able to break free from it, or many do not actually wake up to their template because it's that difficult. So holding the Nephilim template is an energy of being able to really basically utilize two avatars to really start to rehabilitate the Nephilim lineage lines, which are a hybrid of an angelic race line. And so it's beginning to allow those that are choosing, many that have chosen, do want to choose the Christic path again. And so it's about assisting them in choosing. The reason why a lot of the Indigo contracts are changing is because we have massive waves of these beings now incarnating in without needing an Oraphim host. And we're watching a lot of these beings incarnate in, and we don't get them. Sometimes we're just like, why do you expect things to be handed to you? Why do you expect that you don't have to work for something? Why do you expect, like, it's like there is this whole like disconnect, but what we need to do is just recognize our ability now to still be holding the host template of the Shade, or the pillar of light here upon the earth. So we're still being the guiding Oraphim consciousness upon the planet, and allowing everyone to have their own soul's journey. Remember, it's not our job to worry about another person's soul journey. That's their job. Your job is to stay within your pillar, because the minute you start focusing too much on someone else's stuff, you've literally just come out of your central pillar. And so as we hold that pillar of light, we be that. And as we be that, it again, we also have to trust that they have their own guardian hosts helping them and assisting them. Now, within this, it is really important to understand that they're still going to be holding a lot of the upgraded nervous system. And then we're also going to have, there is basically new kind of advanced Oraphim race lines are coming in, as well as new hybridized race lines that are coming in, that their nervous system is even more sensitive than ours was. Right? So when we kind of acknowledge this vibrational energy, we're going to realize that for those that have held the Oraphim energy, the way that it's kind of easiest for us to understand it is it would bring in energies of like dyslexia, difficulty reading things, having to come up with your own ways of learning things, having to maybe do auditory and visual hands-on in order to do things, feeling as though you didn't fit in within the school system because it didn't work for you the way that you were able to comprehend. And the reason why is because indigos come in with more templates held within their DNA, which means that their frequency doesn't match the frequency here of Earth. And so they're actually spanning multi-dimensional time, not singular time. So when you have like base tribal races, or those that were operating, and I don't really like using this term, but I'm going to use it just for explaining, but say more 3D reality, you're thinking about it as a schedule and time and linear, right? Well, the Indigos and the Oraphim race lines, and so I'm really saying Oraphim because Oraphim comes in as indigo, but then they've been coming in as crystalline and as rainbow and as other race lines. They're advancing, they're constantly adding new spectrums. And so when we get to see this, part of the reason why sometimes learning or seeing things in the same way in this reality is because you're already multidimensional from the get-go. And, it was one of the most helpful things for me to recognize, because I never understood why I would grab a book and I would always want to flip it from the back to the front. And reading numbers and letters, not so much. I could kind of tap into those a little bit better, but numbers, like I have to redo because there's a sense of that dyslexia in there that wants to switch things. It's basically seeing patterns in a different way. And I remember, and I'll just say, I'm sure we've all experienced it in different ways, but I remember from a very young age starting to learn mathematics, and they want to teach you math in a particular way. And I could never understand why they would ask what the problem was, like to solve the math problem, and I would just feel or know the answer. But then they want you to explain how you got there, and I would get so lost and so frustrated. Like I couldn't figure out how I got there. I would all of a sudden feel so confused. And to this day, if I do anything with numbers, it's like the numbers will just come. And if I start to question or wonder how I got there, I will be lost in a heartbeat. I literally cannot trail back through the trails of how it got there. And that's the quantum nature within this. So part of this is about having a much more heightened nervous system. That level of taking on so much more energy from others and being able to feel frequencies, hear frequencies. So this is why right now, this is why I keep asking you guys, have you been hearing all the frequencies lately? It's like every night, every night, every night, every night, and they're louder and they're getting more distinct. And I'm so excited because it's just bringing it to the next level. All the things that were like sort of in the ethers for us growing up are literally now just purely our reality. We're living in it right now, you guys. I'm so excited. Like, if for those, you know, and I always joke that everybody's asking for the new earth, and it isn't the new earth, it's the original earth. It's more like we're going back to an original template. We're not going into something new. But the whole idea is like we are here now. And are there things going on around the planet? Absolutely. Please pay attention and share support with so many of the souls that are standing up. South America is making a massive rising right now. They are speaking up. There is magic going on in a lot of the countries there as they are literally taking on the head of the beast. World Economic Forum was just basically one of those places where you got to watch it and just be like, oh my goodness gracious. Just watching it firsthand go down. Europe is literally in this massive uprising, as you've seen the farmers speaking up. I know this kind of things are going on in Texas right now. I know these things have been going on in Canada. Massive shifts and changes that are happening, and it's helpful to know so that you can amplify the support frequency of these energies that are aligned to the Christic energy. But remember, you're the Om Shade, you're the pillar of light. So if you weren't called by your guides to be there, it's not about taking sides or being within a polarity of it. It's literally about stepping back, being the pillar of light as a neutral, compassionate witness, and then connecting to your guidance team as awesome. I am witnessing the shifts and changes happening. What do I need to know? And then just be that. And your guides might say, what you need to know is that your dog needs to go for a walk. So go enjoy the sunshine and have a beautiful day and love the earth with your feet on the ground. You know, you're going to realize that, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff going on. We don't want to put our head in the sand, but we also don't want to let polarity pull us. Okay. So that's our kind of our magic right now. That within that, I'm not going to go too much into some of these astrological things. We do have the Pisces galactic star report coming up. I don't have it on me right here. When is it coming up? It is, I don't have it on me right now. Oh, right here on the 17th. Sorry. So it's coming up in about 6 days, and I'm going to go into some of the incredible alignments that are coming up right now. But just before then, February 13, we have Mars and Pluto conjunct. So in a couple days, Mars, Pluto conjunct. And Mars is the lower octave of Pluto. This is a very powerful time for you to be able to work with this vibrational energy. You're going to have to again see, where is Capricorn in your chart? What house is this whole Pluto theme playing out? Pluto's still in the gate 60. So it's about really seeing what are the foundations, what are the law of one foundations and ethics that you're holding to create the foundations for continuously evolving our species to eventually be guardians. That's what we're holding. So as you begin to work with this is massive, because when we start to see this is all about desire of the soul. And the guardians have been very clear that it is our time to actually step into the seat of control. That many starseeds on the planet feel as though abundance, wealth, money, working with the material reality is not spiritual, it's anti-Christic, and it's all of these things. And what the guardians are saying is, take the power. Get in the seat of control. Utilize your Christic integrity to call the energy of abundance. so that we can start to have more of the resources to create the changes upon the planet that we are wanting to see, rather than feeling the victim that, oh, well, only the rich people are doing this and doing that. They're saying, get that stuff out like now. All the limiting belief systems around abundance out. Because now is the time they're saying, we holding that flow of energy. Money is just currency. It's an energy. And if we can begin to flow it through to Christic endeavors, communities, I hear from all of you the most amazing ideas. Be it, and I'm going to put this out here kind of more on this platform. Individually, I get to connect with a lot of you, and there's a lot of you that are holding dreams of what you'd like to do, but a lot of these dreams are just one piece of the puzzle. You're like, well, I'd love to work in a clinic like this, but I don't know when there will be a clinic like that I can do my practice in. And there's others that want to create communities. There's others that want to create more starseed education systems for the children, eco farming and balancing of farming upon the earth, and so on and so forth. And I hear these things, especially even with building materials, super amazing. What I'd like to do is I'd like to create some sort of platform where we can post what our dreams are, because I'm telling you, I have like an entire list of individuals who are doctors and nurses that you guys all tell me the same thing. And, how can we begin to create this? I have a whole plethora of individuals that love working with abundance, maybe managing the properties, maybe being able to help by acquiring some of these things. There's others who are great at managing, others who want to do maybe the hands-on, hands in the dirt, working with the animals, working with these. There's different things, and it's really, I think this is Wood Dragon, because we just moved into Wood Dragon year. That's the gift of Wood Dragon, is community, really building that kind of family energy, how to support each other. It's about the friendliness. It's about this energy of camaraderie. But Wood Dragon also has a vibration of really manifesting on a massive way in the Earth template. Wood dragons are incredibly special beings, and guess what? We're going to have a whole year of wood dragons being born right now. So as we get to see this energy, this is something we're getting invited into, of how do we get out of the victimhood of feeling as though the world has been going through this stuff, and now start to step into these managerial positions where we can start to be the directors of the new dream. So I'm putting that out there. I don't know how to create it. I just know that hopefully I can begin to connect the pieces of the puzzles together, because that is super amazing. So within that, let's go ahead and start with some of this Q&A, and I'm going to grab my glasses while I do this so that I actually can see. I did want to show you guys one thing. I just got this as a gift. And I think it's super cool. So this, I put my sticker on it because I know all you guys know I love my stickers. But this thing here is a water bottle, and then if you push the button, it starts to create hydrogenated water. So you just put whatever your water is in there, and then you push the little button. How cool is that? I've been having so much fun with that. So, all right. Let's go ahead, and I'm just going to tap through here and see what's in our Q&A. And then by all means, if there's someone that has a live question on, go ahead, and you can, right now is a perfect time, go ahead and unmute, or you can just type it in the chat or raise your hand. So much love, so much love. Heartland, Missouri, much love. And kitties say hi, 33rd parallel. I'm just going down the list really quick. Yeah, over 300 landslides. That's crazy in LA. Can they find themselves while we find ourselves? I'm assuming that's referring to the Indigo race lines. And, you know, all indigos have the gifts and capabilities, but as we know, that as an indigo race line, indigos, because of the frequency differentiation to the system, we are kind of like the wrench in their machinery. And we basically start to disrupt how things function within the archonic system or the AI system or the reversal metatronic system. And so when we start to amplify our frequencies and remember who we are, it really starts to short out their system more and more. So without a doubt, indigos, especially indigos 3, are the most heavily targeted individuals. And they generally will get targeted through their Nephilim energy. And this is going to be things like drugs, alcohol, getting pulled into wrong groups and crowds, attracting massive dysfunctional relationship types of dynamics within their system, and many times creating so much overwhelm within their system that they can maybe just stay stuck in the depression, the sadness, or within some sort of addiction within there. But every being has the opportunity to find themselves, and many times it's about us being able to just be that voice for them that helps them remember who they are, which is really special. Brian, do you wanna click on? Hello, Brian.
Yeah. Hello. Thank you. I really appreciate the information that you bring forth. And I just had a question about the Indigo threes also. You said sounding boards help. What else would you recommend for one to get more aligned with their cause and be able to remember? Because I feel stuck and I know I'm doing a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's such a powerful question. You know, one of the things that I find very, very helpful is to really connect with those that are starting to like vibrate or communicate at the level to where you're wanting to be.
Okay.
And part of this is about working with either the 12th dimensional shield, starting to connect with these meditations that allow you to start to connect to the Christ consciousness, to the law of one, and to making that declaration each day to that energy. One of the mantras I like to say is that Christ consciousness and Christ energy is the most powerful energy that there is. And then when we can start to embrace it, what we're really wanting to do is embrace the ethics of it. What would it mean to be that? And that each day starts to become a challenge for us to be mindful of what thoughts, feelings, and emotions are coming up within our field. Now, that's the first level. The second level is I am going to say that it's really, really helpful to go through and clear the seals and the implants and the attachments that are basically part of the things that are keeping a cap on the lower vibrational frequencies. I did create a playlist on the YouTube channel that's just clearing statements and clearing sessions that one can play. And my goal is to eventually keep adding more, or to find someone that can help do clear the seals and the implants, because these are going to be the primary things that kind of keep a cap on us breaking into that next aha level. Seals and implants are seals and implants on our consciousness and our way we think. And so when they start to move, it's almost kind of like a new layer of the world opens up and we start to go like, oh. And to be really just kind of transparent with removing them, a lot of times removing a seal and an implant can take a little bit of integration, because all of a sudden the new information can sometimes feel overwhelming, because we're becoming aware of how much distortion has been on this planet. It's kind of like each new thing we recognize is kind of like another stab in the heart, and then we have to go into higher consciousness to be able to see it. But The indigo process right now, one of the things that I want to put out there is that what an indigo 3 holds primarily is ancestral, karma, and debt. So 99.9% of what you are thinking, feeling, and holding and feeling inundated with does not belong to you. And right now we have the right to basically start taking all of it and going like, no, I don't agree to that. I don't choose to feel that. Isn't it interesting that I was feeling that? Wherever it came from, however I learned it, wherever I inherited it, I am complete with that now, and I do not consent to holding this within my template any longer. You want to just imagine grabbing it? Higher self, pull it from me now. I will not be the dumping ground for anything or anyone else's karma or debt. I have the right to single soul occupancy. I have the right to soul sovereignty. I have the right to my full Christic template, and anything blocking, impeding, or holding me back from that full radiance, I command, pull it from me now. I have the right, and so it is. And you keep handing it off, and it is layer by layer by layer, but it really, really, really does start to transform really, really quickly. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank
Appreciate it.
you. So let me see this right in here. Dyslexia in Malibu yesterday, an earthquake. Yeah. Dyslexia, the lexicon, who makes these words up? Cannot, oh, so kind of like etymology of it. Yeah, lexicon words. Interesting. Yeah, a scrambling of words. Yeah, I like that. And it is interesting because we know through etymology that words are what manifest our reality. Words create worlds. So words are one of our primary ways that we want to start looking at our language and how we are utilizing our words that are manifesting our template. And it's interesting because it's like, what we do want to recognize is that a lot of the languages upon the planet have been specifically created in order to keep us in these subservient loops. So we're constantly talking ourselves into being the peasants and the serfs upon the planet, and in servitude. And it's interesting because if you actually look at, say, the language of law and attorneys and things like this, the language is totally different because they don't adhere to the same laws. And so it's very interesting when we start to look at how we start to break or undo. There's actually a really interesting book out there. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to post it later. But it has to do with actually reading a bunch of stuff backwards and in a spiral backwards to undo the spells, or even start writing stuff with your left, your left hand or your other hand, and seeing if you can write, um, instead of writing a letter from left to right, see if you can write a letter from right to left. And it messes with your head, but if you do it enough, you actually will get to where you start writing different even. So this is so wanted, and yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Moving down, concepts of processing karma for others. Can we please talk about the concept of processing karma for others? So processing karma for others, remember, as empaths, a lot of times we absorb the beliefs, we absorb the energy of others. We, through our genetic DNA, hold the memories of the earth, we hold the memories of our ancestors. And so a lot of times the karma that we're holding is basically just the miasms that we're holding in our field. And so when we start to look at a lot of how our template is manifesting, whatever the thoughts and beliefs and feelings we hold, and basically a lot of these distortions are coming from primarily 4D, so different layers of our light body out. And as we hold distortions in our template, it's kind of like the holographic reality then gets projected in to us. And so what we want to do is we want to find, where are these karmas and debts held? Are they coming from basically being superimposed? This is kind of a huge topic all on itself, but for instance, when we look at the Anunnaki Syrian race lines that started to utilize humanity for their own intents and purposes, they actually interwove their DNA and genetics within our angelic template, and then through that they're able to then string in or dump their actions onto the human race line. So that's called transference of karma. Parents do it to their children all the time. All the time. The karma of the ancestors gets handed down to the children, and the children are paying off the debts of the ancestors before them through our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions. There's cases I've seen where literally even the financial abundance of future generations is thwarted because the ancestors before them already used it up. So it is really not that difficult to reverse that and change that. We take it to the spiritual courts. You take basically all the stack of bills that you've been holding that don't belong to you. You take it to the spiritual courts and you say, this is not in alignment to divine law and I do not consent. And I am commanding to return all of the karma and debt to whomever it belonged to, because you start to unplug from the earth family trees and you start to tap into your galactic inheritance, right? You start to tap into your Christ family, which doesn't work on a barter system. They are one. There is no karma and debt within that field. So you start to take all karma and debt and you basically say, no, mom, I'm sorry, you're responsible for all of your actions. Nope, Auntie May, that's yours. You just take all of it and hand it. You give it back to partners. You give it back to wherever it belongs so that you can start to then next ask for all your abundance that has been held up in escrow or that another has used. Think of it kind of like a bank account. You put your money in the bank, but guess what? Your money's not in the bank. They are actually investing it and making money off of your money. Right? And so what you're doing is you're saying, okay, well, all of my abundance that you use, I'm taking it back plus all of the interest. And you start to call in all of your abundance back into you. So this is things you can just do while you connect to your spiritual councils and ask for basically the balances. But the primary thing that is most important is that you have to be doing the forgiveness work for yourself. Because if you are still holding victimizer programming or feeling any of these lower distorted fields, you are not going to be allowing any of that to balance within. And I just came across this etymology with forgiving. So I want to actually share it with you. Speaking of etymology, and I want you to imagine the word forgiving or forgive. And then I want you to imagine splitting it in two words and then do it as F-O-R-E, give. It's like forward giving. It's amazing because we know it's in the teachings that forgiveness is key. That if we are holding any places where there is judgment or limitation or I'm a martyr or anything like that, we are the one holding miasma and restricting our energetic fields. And as we begin to allow ourselves to forgive, who are we forgiving? We're truly forgiving ourselves. It's the only, like, we forgive ourselves. And then from forgiveness, we can begin to imagine that any places that we have blamed, accused, or anything of another, even if we can sit there and go like, yeah, but they did that and that was really bad, then as long as we're sitting there in that righteousness or that judgment of like, well, yeah, I get it, there is really horrible things, there's certain things people should not be doing to others, But we also want to recognize that if we're in some of these situations, how do we start to reset our own manifestation template, take responsibility for it, and begin to shift and change it? And as we do that, we start to then let go of all the places we are energetically tethered to people who we thought maybe were our perpetrators. The biggest karmic binding that I see through past life regressions is people who have done wrong to each other in past life experiences. It's like, oh, that person killed another person, and the next thing you know, they're like brother and sister in the next life, and they're like living with each other for lifetimes until they figure it out. It's like, it's just mind-boggling to me how we need to recognize that even at the most heinous or tragic moment of death, if we have an emotional charge to how it's happening, we are binding to that other individual. And so part of what we're doing is this forgiveness and letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go, so that we can go like, no, I want to be sovereign. I don't want any strings or tethers to anybody, so that we can really, truly be immersed within our Christ family. Second question is about quite unexpected energy smacks that came from the people unexpectedly in the most verbally violent ways. Is there a sign that we are on the right track? You know what? That is a very great thing to bring up, because when we start to take our Christic inheritance and step within our pillar of light, a lot of the energies that have been corded into us, feeding off of us, or utilizing our energy sources, or using us as a karmic dumping ground, when we start to step in and fortify our shields, start to align more to our true Christic and Oraphim heritages, our vibration starts to become uncomfortable for those other individuals around. It starts to even become toxic for them, because our frequency is kind of like radiation to them, anyone not operating Christic. And then as this begins to amplify, the very first thing they do is attack. It's like they want to try to knock us back down through maybe our insecurities or limiting beliefs, or, oh, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, any of these kind of things. And when we just start to get to this place where we could literally, even if it's biological family, we could begin to start to create those fortified barriers that will start to move out more and more. It doesn't last usually that long. But in sometimes certain massive transformational stages of really taking sovereignty, it can feel like a barrage is happening on us. This is a serious question. Still sorting the personal indigo types and what I am. What I did get is the incredible Indigo 3 is hosting another part. What do you do with this download? Set up Indigo 3, set up Indigo 3 Appreciation Day. I love that. Yes, we should have Indigo 3 Appreciation Day. I love that. It'll be an international day. Do we need who to vote for approval? So definitely, yeah, we can be holding definitely what can many times feel like sub-personalities, because a lot of times in the indigo lineage, there is fractalization of our from our trauma wounds that we experience in early life. And then this can actually, the other thing that's very tricky that isn't talked about a lot is that as an indigo, it's not like you're just hosting one Nephilim. There's many times, maybe dozens, maybe more, that through life will move, and that's why it'll feel like personality almost differences at different times, because it'll be a completely different consciousness. I like to kind of think of it like the Oraphim is a caseworker. And they just have a caseload that they're working on, and then they're just assisting a bunch of different things, and that's why it can sometimes seem like fractalized or different characters within the home, which is distinctly different from multiple personalities. It is completely different because there's almost an awareness that you're curiously observing another or another thought. And in some ways, it's very much like entity attachment. And at this point in time, to the best of my understanding, working with the guardians, that we have the right to be complete with the Indigo 3 contract as far as hosting these beings any longer. And we have the right to step into the Indigo 4. An Indigo 4 is basically an Indigo 3, which really stepping into an Indigo type 1. And really just working with pure elemental energies, going back to just really integrating your Oraphim energy. Handwriting Can Change Your Life by Vimala Rogers is a good book. Ooh, I like that. Forgiving Ourselves is huge. Brindy's Kitty Wants to Help. Oh, I love that. Grudges are anchors. Absolutely. Tricky Parents. Is this why in some households when we start to drive, they let us drive a second-hand car or karma? Oh, I like that etymology. So be careful with your family inheritance and desire to receive it. Oh, and thank you for that. Yeah, it is definitely, things do hold energy for sure, and being handed certain things many times. This is actually, there is some that it's completely benign and it's not recognized or realized. Most things that parents are doing are completely unconscious. It's just something that's been happening for millennia on the planet. There are others that are very consciously aware. This is something that I work with a lot of individuals to clear, because sometimes there are family members that are very consciously aware of the energy exchange of items or knowing your physical address. They like to reach out and ask, where's your home address or where's your physical address, in order to be able to geographically or GPS tap into you in this way. Or they'll want to send you gifts. You'll get random little gifts that will definitely have kind of like an energy attached to them. And then a lot of times it'll feel like stuff, just weird stuff starts happening, and you got to find the stuff and get rid of it. It's unfortunately way more common than we recognize. One thing I do want to share for the Indigos is I want to read something right here, and this is about working with the 777 code. So 777 is actually a master code, and it really pertains to Christ consciousness. So when we work with 777, you can call this in because it's about embodying the law of one principles. It's about embodying, remember, the Trinity Council. And as we work with the sacred 777 code, it can help us start to clear the ancestral karmas, miasmas, all the inherited imbalances that we tend to get through these Indigo lineage lines. Now, it's interesting because I actually, there was someone, I'm going to bring this book up. I've brought it up with you guys before. It is one, I'm going to tell you, there are certain books that I do like to reference, but you have to be able to do it with shields, because again, there is a lot of distortion into this book. Obviously, it's called Yahweh, but it's the Keys of Enoch. But it's a very interesting book. You have to put your shields up. Again, I'm just putting the disclaimer up there. But there is a ton of legitimate, beautiful information within it as well. And this is the thing, we don't want to just toss things out. We want to recognize that there's a lot of amazing information in different things. And so the 777, interestingly, I got pointed that it's in here too. This is going to be on page 57. And this is talking about the sixth key. And it shows that how the higher lights can modulate the physical universe, which is controlled by the force fields of 666. so that the pure thoughts of the masters working with the 777 principal stars in the cluster of the Pleiades have the power to materialize a new heaven and a new earth, so that the former things will not be called to mind. So at this time, it's talking about, basically, this is a really neat way to show that the 666 is really it's a death symbol within it. It's about binding things in the material reality. It's binding things into physical form. So what we want to recognize, if we start to work with some of the sacred geometries and some of the sacred codes, oh, interesting, we can begin to work with vibrational energies that start to break us outside of the codes. And yes, I love that you put that. Interesting that there's a book by Aleister Crowley called 777. One of the key things I like to remind people, that people who are doing black magic and dark magic, all they're doing is using ascension mechanics in reverse. They're basically, it's what is their intentions? What are their thoughts behind it? And again, we've been so trained to shy away from a lot of these things that we don't even use it to manifest abundance in our reality. Take the money, change the codes on it, break the spells, and turn it into Christic magic. Right? So now we get to see that what we're really doing is, if we step into, again, this is where the guardians are saying they need us to step into remembering our power and how to use these energies for the Christic forces in law of one ethics. Because now if we start to use these codes, we can start to use the exact same thing that they've been controlling this entire planet with, but we can do it with love. So cool. I love it. So I did want to say that, just because, again, when we start working with some of these energies, a lot of it, again, is, and remember, material reality, what gets bound, it's bound in our carbon, 666. It's bound in our carbon, the miasms, the karma, and the debt gets bound to our carbon and our fascia. And if we just start to work with the higher vibrational codes, we start to move to silica base energy, which starts to dissipate the bindings within the carbon, so we start to clear it out. Amazing technique out there, and I nicknamed it. I got told this technique by someone that was utilizing, and they said it was a high alchemical practice, and I started nicknaming it the carbon to carbon to carbon. Okay, so you imagine that you are a carbon-based being, and you want to get a piece of paper, and you want to basically start writing out anything that has been stuck or bound in your body. And if you can write it out with a carbon pencil, a charcoal pencil at minimum, you write all of it out onto a paper. So you go carbon in your body to carbon from the pencil to the paper, so you're transferring it. This individual was basically saying that this was one of the practices that Yeshua used to use to not get bound by karma on the earth, that they would just go and write out everything each day to get it out of their body. And so write it out of the body onto the paper, and then you're going to take it to the fire and turn it to carbon, burn it. And then we be done. Like, why are we, we're all hoarders and pack rats, aren't we? We're just carrying this stuff around for lifetimes. Oh, I love this. Been attracted to crystals more lately: amber, labradorite, black tourmaline. Clearing them with cold water and brown rice is very important. Wow, that's the first time I've heard about brown rice. That's interesting. If there are any cautions to working with crystals, you know what? There can be, absolutely. Crystals are basically, they have the ability to record. They are kind of like, I kind of joke that they're kind of like a flash drive. They are sentient conscious beings. They're incredible to connect with when you actually go in remotely and get invited into their realms and their kingdoms. They are incredible. And when you really work with the crystals, it's important to remember that they're already going to be holding the records and memories of wherever the land is, wherever, like, whomever transported them, wherever they've been. So a lot of times I like to treat them as if you've just welcomed somebody and maybe they need a bath, maybe they need nurturing, maybe they need love, or maybe they need to go outside for a while just to be able to connect with the earth. There's a lot of crystals on the planet that were programmed to hold the artificial templates on the planet. So we want to kind of flash and clear out these. A lot of times crystals, if they're still holding those, they're going to be holding the elemental commands within them that might still be holding reversal metatronic energies within them. So you just want to go ahead and purify them and love them. Salt is a beautiful thing. I like to leave them out in the sunshine for a long time. A lot of times you just want to connect with them. A lot of times it's an expensive way to be in service, but a lot of times crystals asked for me to get them and then for me to go put them out on the land. And I'm just like, ah. So, this trip that we're about to go on, that's what I do. I don't have that many left, and I take them and I keep doing grids and placing them out and sometimes burying them back on the land. And, so to the guides, I just say, please continuously bring abundance so that I can keep helping the sacred crystal beings to do that. But yeah, definitely allow yourself, love your practice of the carbon. Carbon is effective. A couple of weeks ago, I was doing it and oops, and activated a fire alarm. Yes, please be careful. I did the fire alarm in the house the other day. The Palo Santo I was burning kind of got a little too ambitious and started to really light up. So, oh my gosh, you guys are so amazing. I know we're at like 90 minutes already. I just want to do one quick look through on some of the questions here. I know somebody had asked, how do you put boundaries to protect your field? They were saying that they were at the hospital and they were fully drained of energy afterwards and filled with sadness. So one of the key things that we want to recognize is that places like hospitals are a lot of, I don't want to say all of them, but I am going to say the majority of them, that when we look at hospitals and we look at certain clinics and places, that a lot of these are dedicated to Baphomet. So a lot of times hospitals have blood sacrifice energy within them. They are also made out of metals that don't allow spirits, when a soul leaves the physical body and is leaving, a lot of times the souls get stuck in the hospitals. So it's really important for us to recognize that when we go to certain places like this, we are going to a very heightened place that not only is there going to be massive lower astral beings all over the hallways. Like, I know you guys feel them. Yeah, I hope you guys are shielding up when you go. There's going to be massive other energies that are taking place that are usually at quite high levels when it comes to who owns the hospital, board members, these kind of levels of things within there. And then, now we recognize that most of us are super empathic and have kind of a sensitivity to spirits. So what do we attract? So it's a lot of times when we start to feel really drained of energy, tired all of a sudden, feeling as though we're overwhelmed, it means we've just literally got tagged by a bunch of entity attachments. And it would be very helpful. I do have it for free on the website. It's called the Safe Transit Portal Bardo Chamber of Light PDF document on withbecca.com. If you sign up on there, if you're already signed up for the newsletter and it won't let you, just send me a message in the contact and I'll get it to you, because you can run through that practice, create that sacred space, and then just take all the energies that is attached and move them out. Because when you go to the hospital, a lot of times you're the brightest thing there. So there might be like, hey, there's the light and get stuck to you. So that's one thing. Another thing that has been very, very helpful for some very sensitive empaths that I've been working with, the guides showed a technique that was it was about working with the earth chakra. And the whole concept of it is to imagine that you're connecting your energy down to your earth chakra. And your earth chakra is going to be connected to the template of earth that is in alignment, say to Eartha or to Tara or to Gaia, right? So you can start to move it up to a higher vibrational earth template and connect to that earth chakra. And then as you ground into your earth chakra, you start to allow the image of the earth to come all the way around you like a body. So that you are standing in the earth, and the earth and her template is your entire field in your shield, and all of the earth and all of the minerals and all of the essence of her massive body, which is very magnetic and grounding, neutralizes all the stuff from your field. So stuff isn't just hitting you directly. You have like this whole massive kind of field around you that helps protect you from just taking on others' energy right away, where it's more like you can be the observer. You'll still feel and have your empathic abilities, but it won't feel like it's literally knocking you off your center. So that is also very, very helpful. One person was asking if people who are not empathic, who are kind of cold or wrapped up in themselves, does that mean they have a lot of Templar seals? Now, Templar seals are going to be seals that are placed on, yes, some of these 11D beings who don't have all the way to the 12th strand. These are going to be beings who are basically hybridized beings with some of the Orion forces. And when we look at these, having no empathy and being able to callously do things without even a second thought, kind of like, oh, what is that? It really is kind of a symbol that shows all 12 strands are not within that individual or being. Because having 12 strands, whether or not they're activated or not, or whether or not you've activated your consciousness, it means you still hold the Christic codes of empathy. You're not going to be able to be the person that goes and hurts a cat or a dog without thinking about it. You couldn't do it. You couldn't stomach it. You wouldn't be able to do it, and it's like there's a lot of 12 strand individuals out there who will have things happen that are very traumatic, and then they'll wall their heart off. They'll put walls and barriers and barbed wire and blocks and everything in order to try to numb or dull themselves so they don't feel. But if you really tap into them, you know that it's just a facade. Because when you are with someone who could literally hurt someone, do something, and not even bat an eye or think about it, your body feels different next to them. And it feels cold, callous, and uncomfortable. And you want to get away. So I hope that helps answer that a little bit, because it is a little bit of a tricky thing. Templar seals, they have been releasing rather significantly. So most that are doing and running the 12th dimensional shield will be moving a lot of the Templar seals off of the body as you do it. So hopefully that is helping. And I think there's just one other thing. There's some great questions, but I think we actually touched on a lot of them. And one more thing. Someone was asking, I thought this was rather interesting. Someone was asking about the three Christs from the Voyagers book series. And I think it was in the 6th video, we went through Akhenaten and the three Christ. It was either the 5th or 6th one out of 7. And they were talking about that. And it was interesting because it was kind of like that perspective of not certain of how to integrate this idea of three Christs. And what's really important to understand is that Yeshua 12 in the Voyager series wasn't someone that anybody would have known. They were very recluse. They were very, most of the times they were spending the time in the inner earth or within initiation places. So they weren't out being a missionary like we would see in the Gnostic gospels, if you will. Completely different. And even if you look at reading through the three Christs, the final one, if you look at it as the one that would have been said to be the one crucified on the cross, that was basically someone that they transferred that energy, like basically that personality onto them, so that they took the place of the Yeshua 9. Now, Yeshua 9 would have been more the one that would have been perceived as the one that we would know through the Bible and through the Gnostic texts. And this individual was one of the individuals that held a hybridized bloodline within them. So they had, much like Akhenaten. Akhenaten also was 9D coming into the incarnation, but we know through hearing the story of Akhenaten, it doesn't mean you have a rosy path. It doesn't mean you're not without manipulation or being targeted in these kinds of ways. And the 9 actually studied with the 12, and again, the 12 wasn't running around going, hey, I'm the Christ and I'm here. You know, they were here just to literally anchor their body for a little bit, pass on the codes to the 9 and to others that were initiating with them through the Melchizedek lineages, and then they left. So one of the things I love to think about sometimes is that right now here on Earth, just look at in stories of India, the immortals that are living there right now here on Earth. There are beings in human form that have maybe been here for hundreds of years, but they aren't hanging out with us. They're up in the mountains, and you will only find them if they want you to find them. And they have gifts and capabilities that make us go like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, like little school kids. But they're already recognizing and realizing this energy. We have individuals much like that are already here on Earth anchoring this energy, and they are constantly moving in and out of their body through dimensional planes. So, you know, who are they? We're not writing books about them. They're not being recognized. And it's important for us to recognize that history is generally written by the victor. I will leave it at that. If you witnessed instances lately when individuals outgrow their alternative healthcare healers, in other words, certain holistic treatments and healers do not resonate as much and rather hold you back. Yes. Our body is constantly going through shifts and changes. And so it's important to understand that sometimes maybe it is a massage therapist that you're seeing that's all of a sudden they've been perfect for you for a portion of your path, and it's time to move on from that particular person. It's really important to let yourself just constantly keep handing all that you have going on, because remember, everything's a relationship. And we attract relationships into our reality based on where we're at. And as we evolve, if the other half of the relationship isn't shifting and changing, then yes, the idea of outgrowing, even if it's a health practitioner or something like that might have been super beneficial, it can still bring an energy that if they're not moving and you are, then it's sometimes time to just allow yourself to ask your guides to bring you in the next vibrational energy. We're all kind of like little pinging energies off of each other, right? You know, and it's like, for all intents and purposes, there's so many that I've been so blessed to do sessions with, but sometimes it's just that short little moment of time, and that's all that's needed. And the heart and the love is still there, but it's like it's time to keep pinging and growing off of other things. So we want to be organic with that, be it with food, be it with exercise, be it with our healthcare, be it with whom we hang out with. Absolutely. Thank you for asking that question, because it's super important for us to have the freedom to constantly keep growing and expanding who we are. So you guys, so much love. I love hanging out with you. I've been thinking that a month is too long. As we get on the road, I might see about making this at least 2 of these a month that we can spend more time with each other, because I feel like there's a lot more questions and things that we just don't even get to. So last thing before we go, I am going to be I was hoping to write everybody's name down as we were going, but it was just too difficult for me to do. I'm putting them all in a container here. Um, but the gift for February, and it's pink because I like pink. And the gift for February is it beautiful, and it's so fun that you asked a question about crystals. So this will come as a gift, but as it comes as a gift, please honor it, and however it asks you to honor it. And it is a beautiful rose quart, and it is a candle holder. This one's very, very special. I have traveled with this beautiful being all over the world in a lot of the different places. And primarily it holds a lot of the energy of Hawaii and the Lemurian template there, because that is where it came into my reality, and where spent a lot of time and energy with it. This is a very special being that I want to share with love to one of you. So I'm going to take everybody's name that was here today, and I'm going to announce it. I'll go ahead and put them in a little basket and send a little care basket with this, as well as a few other little things I like to just give as a gift, because I love you guys and I just want to share the love. This year is the year of giving. We are going to have abundance. We are all going to thrive, and we really truly are the Shade, or the pillars of light. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for sharing this time with me. Bye-bye.